So welcome back, guys, to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about video game collecting and shopping addiction. Yes, it is a thing. Now first, a disclaimer, I am not personally attacking anybody. I'm not trying to dictate a hobby. I know I will get a dislike on this video just because someone will think that I'm trying to tell them how to enjoy video games, and that could be furthest from the truth. But shopping addiction is a thing. I had a mild case of shopping addiction, I can deeply admit, back in 2013, 2014, where I found myself buying more video games than actually playing them. And that can be a huge issue because we all know video games are very expensive. It can be a very expensive hobby. And what sparked this discussion was I was on social media, and maybe it's because of all the game delays, you know, because people were like, oh, thank God my wallet was going to hurt so bad in April, but now, you know, Cyberpunk got delayed. I can kind of, you know, just sit back and wait on it. I'm so glad. I was seeing posts like that, and I was seeing posts where folks were saying, hey, do you ever have a problem where it's like every weekend you buy a bunch of video games and you never play them? And I was looking at that as an outside perspective, and I'm like, man, this is kind of an issue, and I kind of want to make a video about it because I've had that problem too. You know, there's games, Trials of Cold Steel on the PS3. I remember buying that back in 2015 or 16. I bought the special collector's edition because it was on clearance at GameStop. I have not played it, and I've tried to sell it on eBay, but it won't sell because they have all the HD remasters coming out, so I'm kind of stuck with it. It is what it is. I mean, it's still sealed, and I normally don't like having sealed games in my collection. But, you know, when it comes down to it, I feel like video game collecting, the hobby itself, I feel like it's a very status hobby. And this is coming from a personal perspective, because I feel like it becomes almost like bragging rights. And what I mean by this is I feel like, especially on social media, on various video game group pages, I feel like someone always has to post about their collection. Someone always has to talk about what games they picked up, almost like they're trying to get some cyber high five from someone they absolutely don't know in the wonderful world of social media. And that can kind of cause a chain reaction of some financial problems, because you find yourself chasing the acceptance of total strangers at the same time spending exuberant amount of money. So that is something I've seen. Also, you know, I feel like, especially with a lot of retro collectors, I feel like they get addicted to the hunt. They get addicted to video game collecting. They get addicted to going to flea markets and thrift stores and Goodwills, and they love to find the deals. They love to know that, you know, a game's worth $50 they got for $10. And, you know, that's a very rare thing in this day and age with retro collecting. You don't really find that often anymore. But a couple of years ago, I knew people that would go out and buy video games and sell them and rebuy some more and sell them. And it wasn't because, you know, they had a store. It was just because they realized they had a bunch of games, and they're like, I can't play any of these. And that's the thing. I always tell folks there's nothing wrong with waiting on buying a game, especially if, you know, you did not get a review code or anything like that. Matter of fact, I mean, I played Judgment, and I made a recent review of it. I talked about Judgment, and that game came out back in the summer. And, you know, unless you're reviewing a game with a company and you have an embargo and you get an early copy, there's no rush to buy a game for the sole purpose of reviewing it. Take your time. You know, that's what I always tell folks. And, you know, when it comes to tips and tricks, gaming on a budget, you know, use that retro community, not just for posting your pickup videos, but to interact with the community. Get games that you know are going to sell. And what I mean by this is there's times that I've went to pawn shops, I've went to Goodwills, and I found games, and I've looked them up online and saw how much they were worth and how much of a deal I was getting, and I would buy that game just for the fact that I could resell it and get something that I really want. And I know that's a very, very toxic word, reseller, but understand this, video games are very expensive, and you have to hustle. You really do have to hustle. So definitely hustle with some reselling. Also, you know, take advantage of GameStop with their trade credits. I know GameStop doesn't offer the most, but when they have their promo deals, like a couple of years ago, they had like trade 2, get an extra 20%. You know, if you have some heavy hitters that you already beat that are still brand new, they're maybe only a month old, go ahead and trade it in. get your $30 trading credit plus your 20% if they have that sort of promo, and use it towards a new game. You can always go back and rebuy the game later. And here's the great thing, because we have so many games coming out, the used market is fantastic, because these brick and mortar stores have to make room for inventory. So when you have like 6 or 7 games coming out in a month, those games that were like 6 months old that are used are going to drop down in price immensely, especially if they're games that aren't online, they don't have a huge co-op community, or they're just, you know, one-off adventure titles like God of War. You can get God of War super cheap now, or Horizon Zero Dawn. I've seen that on PSN itself for $6 to $10. So there's nothing wrong with waiting, and there's nothing wrong with, you know, kind of being behind with games. I mean, all of us are behind. Even the folks that are buying the games day one, they're behind because, you know, they're not going to be playing that game and they're not going to beat it. They probably have a huge backlog anyway. So that's something to look at. And the last thing I want to talk about is, if you are a content creator, reach out to companies, get review codes, do reviews. I cannot stress this enough. It doesn't matter if you're a small channel or not. As a matter of fact, a lot of companies that I work with enjoy the fact that I'm a smaller channel, because it makes it feel more interactive with the community. So reach out to them. Say, hey, I make this channel, I review games, these kind of games really fit my community. Reach out to them. If you get a review code, you have a free game, and boom, you're growing your content at the same time. You're hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. So that's something definitely to look at. And, you know, check them out on Twitter. Reach out to the PR companies. Also, websites like Keymailer and Terminals.io will definitely help you get in the right direction to review games as well. But yeah, guys, what do you think about video game collecting and shopping addiction? Do you have any personal stories that you want to share? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, but also hit the bell for notifications so you're notified on all future videos coming out on this channel. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and as always, happy gaming.